start looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.
And welcome back to the latest and greatest episode of the Shaving Points podcast. My name is Jayton May, joined as always by my co-host Quentin Crisco. How are we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I am in the depths of draft film.
You in it?
I have not left this basement for a month.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't shower, I don't eat, I don't sleep. I just sit here watching film.
Hey, that's all you got to do in these times. So we had a great Super Bowl a couple weeks. Any thoughts that people haven't heard? Greatest Super Bowl ever, maybe?
I mean, I don't know if I'd put it up there just because it was kind of like I enjoyed it all game, but I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it for the first three quarters. So yeah. I don't know if it can go in that territory.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game. I had the overtime prop, so love that aspect of it. Everybody bitching about the overtime rules, which have been well established for a long time, so didn't really care about that. But all in all, great Super Bowl. Patty Mahomes gets his third GOAT status already, best player in the league, 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Yeah, he's just the best.
He's the best.
Well, he's not going to be on our list today.
No, sir, he is not. Do you want to explain, give a little rundown on what we're doing here, Jay?
Yeah, so today we are crafting a team out of players that have never won a Super Bowl, and we're not necessarily just taking the best players of all time that didn't win a Super Bowl. We're formulating a team, a culture, a chemistry to mold the perfect team. So, like, we're not going to have Michael Vick on here with some of like the all-time great like possession receivers. Like, we're building a team here. Culture.
Yeah, there's an entire concept of how you want the roster to build off each other and like
exactly
like how all the pieces fit is kind of the way I was looking at it, at least.
Yeah, so it's going to be the first team we're going to do is the 2014 Cowboys, minus DeMarcus Ware because he went on to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was on my list at one point. Then I was like, oh no,
no. Yeah. Yeah, going through these lists, it's quite glaring the difference in talent I felt like when I was looking guys up about all-time offensive great players that didn't win a Super Bowl compared to defensive, because there are some defensive legends that didn't win. But when you really like get in deep to some of like the defensive players that didn't win, it's like, oh, most of the time, like if you're a historically great defensive player, like you get yourself a Super Bowl, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, especially defensive backs. Really,
defensive
I didn't have any
backs,
problems with the D line or even the linebackers. It was the defensive backs where it was like, oh shit, and it's like it's that the moment you realize there that like there really just aren't that many great defensive backs, and the ones that are great tend to win a Super Bowl at some point because they do bounce around teams towards the end of their career too, especially. I mean,
yeah.
And then 2, there are probably a lot more really good cornerbacks than we realize because maybe they don't get interceptions.
Yeah.
Maybe that they don't get Pro Bowl nods because of it. You know, maybe they don't get all pros because of it. And then they go so unrecognized over the course of their career for being what they are. Guys like a James Bradbury, who were really dang good cornerbacks for years and didn't get recognized.
Terrence Newman.
Yeah, Terrence Newman's a great example.
17-year career, only made 2 Pro Bowls, but like was just kind of consistently above league average for 17 years, had incredible speed, and then played for 3 loser franchise with the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Bengals.
Shame.
Crying shame. But and then you have guys like we'll talk about it more when we get into it, but then you have some guys whose career just ended early due to retirement or injury or unfortunately for some death. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be fun. So I lost my list, but I have a lot of it off the top of my head. So we're going to we were originally going to do our own two teams, but now I think we're going to kind of go off of Quentin's list, but at the same time, like,
Yeah.
if there's anybody I think he's missing or think fits well, throw in my 2 cents. And then after we get done with this, if y'all want to stick around for some Bears talk / draft talk, just starting early. Combine's coming up Monday?
Is it Monday? I thought it started tomorrow.
Could start tomorrow. I thought
they moved it to a weekend event now. That's the reason I was thinking tomorrow.
Oh, okay. That very well
maybe
could
it's
be
next
true.
week though. I could be.
You're the draft guy. But yeah. Either way, we got the combine right around the corner, which to me doesn't really mean much, but it is fun to see some of these guys just raw athleticism, and it's like.
So to me, the combine matters a lot because it's like on a standalone basis. I don't think it means a ton, but when you're watching these guys, I'm gonna get triggers from the combine of who to go watch more of, who is verifying my priors. Like, I think this guy's slow. Oh, it's because he is slow.
Yeah, it's because he runs a 4.8.
It says he's slow. Why does he look fast? And I'll go watch more of that, and vice versa. I think this guy's slow. This says he's fast. It gives you like it goes a long way towards that process.
Yeah, it gives you a kind of like a building block essentially to work off of. But yeah, I'm excited. It's just fun to already have some football content coming back after just 2 weeks removed from the Super Bowl. So,
hey man, if you're following the Building the Board project that I'm working on, it's never ended. We started publishing our articles day one of the off season.
You got to these days.
Yeah, yes, sir, you do. But so I got 2 teams here. So I figure we'll roll through the first one and then get any thoughts from you on it as we're going through it, and then go through the second one.
So yeah, we can start with the offense side of the ball. Everybody loves the offense. Some all-time great quarterbacks that have never won Super Bowls. Looking at you, Dan Marino. Looking at you, Tony Romo.
Fran
Tarkenton.
Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers.
Felipe Rivera. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, and I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper,
Moon were the other.
Dan Fouts, Warren Moon. So where are we starting with this team here? Who are we gonna have leading the ship?
So this defines the entire identity of my offense, right? Like if I go Vic, I have to go a certain way with the way I'm structuring this offense. If
Absolutely.
I go Marino, I have to think about the pass catchers in the offensive line that I want for him. And I'm going Marino. Like, I mean, I don't think anyone else is close.
I think Marino is a clear choice here. I mean, he still holds passing records to this day in a pass heavy offense. Every time somebody breaks a record that has been around for more than 10 years, it's always a Marino record. When Peyton and Tom Brady were breaking all the records, they were always Marino. Now
Pat Mahomes without the rings.
Yeah, now if Pat Mahomes breaks the record, if it's not Tom Brady, if it's not Peyton Manning, it's Dan Marino. I mean, he's up there. He's got everything except the ring, and went to the Super Bowl his first year, never made it back. He's the Josh Allen of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But so to me, that's an easy one. I'll get into more of the structure around the guys that I put around Marino and why once I get to them. But at running back, I mean, there's one really clear answer here, and it's Barry Sanders. And it doesn't matter who your quarterback is.
Yeah. So I like Barry here. I also think AP could just as easily be here.
Yeah, I did consider AP, but Barry was, I mean, I just had to go Barry, man.
Yeah,
especially Dan Marino did factor into this decision. I lied earlier. So the reason I didn't go AP here was because I want more of a pass catching threat with Marino because we're gonna be such a pass heavy offense. I want a running back who's gonna be a true threat on those passing downs. And Peterson, yeah, he's gonna be a threat, but not like Barry Sanders was, not to the same degree.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think Earl Campbell falls into this list. A Bo Jackson, and
Bo was one that I really considered too. I was like, oh, yeah. Bo would be fun, but
yeah.
I don't know
another
how
one
injuries, so I just have avoided it.
Yeah. So another one that is right up there with all those guys is LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. Talk about a pass catching back.
Yeah.
All phases of the game, but yeah, I mean, I think Barry. I mean, when you talk about one of the greatest players of all time at the running back position, or in football in general, but not just at the running back position. I mean, I think him and Marino are both 1-1 for those picks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so moving to the wide receivers,
you're gonna roll. You're not gonna roll a fullback out there.
No fullback with Dan.
No Kyle Juszczyk out there.
No, I don't need him. I don't need him.
Don't need
Dan Marino and Barry Sanders. Like, what are we talking about here? So at the wide receiver spots, I got 3
I think
wide
this
receivers.
is 1-1. I think there's a clear 1-1 for wide receiver as well.
Ooh, interesting. So wide receiver 1, I got Randy Moss because I thought
he's the 1-1.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We're on the same page then.
He's quite arguably the greatest receiver of all time, and Jerry Rice won Super Bowls. So the only argument for the other greatest wide receiver of all time is ineligible for this list.
Yeah.
And I think there's a clear 2 as well.
So this is where my list gets weird, though.
Because we're building a team.
Right. Yeah. So I got Randy, which means, I got the vertical threat. I have a guy who can get yards after catch, who can do pretty much anything. But he's going to be my big vertical X. That's his primary role, and I'll use him however I need to outside of that. But so at wide receiver 2, I wanted a guy who could be a bit more shifty, be more of a route runner, be more of a threat after the catch. Like,
that's what I was thinking for third receiver
role here. Well, so I'll get to that later. I have my receiver 3 at receiver 3 for a very specific reason. So I went Steve Smith at wide receiver 2.
Steve Smith Sr.?
Yep.
Did he not win a Super Bowl with Baltimore?
Nope. Or wait, did he?
Joe Flacco?
Was he on that team?
He was there shortly after if he wasn't. No, because it was Anquan Bolden. I don't think they had Anquan Bolden and Steve Smith.
It doesn't say on his Wikipedia page that he won a Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, so he probably showed up just shy. Because he was definitely a guy I thought about, but I couldn't remember. But
yeah. Sorry, I just realized my wide receiver 3 is not eligible. All right, I got a replacement.
Okay. Well, my wide receiver 2, I had Megatron. And I don't know how it works. I don't care how it works, but give me Dan Marino, Megatron, and Randy Moss, and I'll take my shifty route runner, possession receiver at the 3.
Yeah. So, and I mean, yeah, I guess possession receiver isn't really what I'd call the Steve Smith that I wanted there. I wanted more of a gadgety guy, like a guy who can be something different for you.
Yeah.
Because at receiver 3 initially, I had Anquan Bolden. And I had Anquan Bolden there because I've only got one tight end. I need to be able to run some heavier sets. I need a guy who's going to crush ends as a blocker. He's going to crack down hard. I want that. And Anquan Bolden was perfect in my mind to be.
See, for my 3, I kind of thought the same thing. He's not as aggressive. He got a big old fat ass, Larry Fitz.
So that's where I'm going.
Good blocking wide receiver, but
yeah,
I mean, can do it all. And you talk about a guy that shows up in the playoffs that almost won a Super Bowl twice in spite of his surroundings as a wide receiver. Like, you don't see wide receivers carry teams through playoffs runs. He did it twice and came just a little short both times.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So Larry Fitz
Yeah.
is my 3 now. That was my second option at the 3 because I just thought Bolden brought more of the physicality, but like Fitz is similar. Mold.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even take the Steve Smith at the 2, and give me Larry Fitz at the 3, or give me Larry Fitz at the 2, and give me the feisty Steve Smith who will fight the biggest guy in your team at the 3. Like those are
Generally
kind of
they're interchangeable. I was just thinking the 3 as the slot, and the slot I need to be able to crack down on the end.
Yeah, but I think that combination of Fitz and Steve Smith, and we can save Megatron for the second team, even though I still like the Megatron Fitz combination, or the Megatron Steve Smith, and let Larry Fitz be the one. Whatever it is, some combination of those 4, I think is pretty elite.
Then at tight end, I went Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Where were you thinking, Tony?
Tony Gonzalez, or
I know Tony Gonzalez. The numbers are there, the production is all there. I never felt the way I felt watching him as I felt about Antonio Gates. I never felt awe of him in the.
You could also go old reliable, one of the best blocking tight ends of all time, high reception guy, not a big yak guy, Jason Witten.
Jay Witt. Oh, he was an option. I mean, Antonio, come on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think those 3 basically sum it up.
Yeah. And then getting to the trenches. So some of this left tackle, right? Or actually, I think I kept pretty true to left versus right side on this. Yeah. Joe Thomas was the obvious left tackle to me.
Yeah, 1-1. I mean, never missed a snap. Like 9-time All-Pro. Not a me guy whatsoever. He could have been the face of the franchise for the Cleveland Browns, and I mean, you never heard nothing about him. Just always just signed his extension. You never held out. Just grinded out. Just lunch pail guy, and one of the greatest to ever do it. And never saw a winning season, and just was the best at what he did for a decade plus.
So the next spot at guard, this was actually a spot that was kind of hard to find, because it's almost similar to the DBs, where it's like, you know the guys who are winning, and they keep getting voted to Pro Bowls, and they keep getting the same guys every year.
This is where current players came in handy, but
this is where I went Steve Hutchinson at left guard.
Yeah,
former Seahawk, former Viking, he
was Seahawk Viking loser franchises,
But most of the other guys who I was considering there that I grew up watching, they won rings.
Yeah,
so it was kind of it made it difficult at guard.
If we're sticking to retired players, I think that's the right choice. But if not, I mean, well, I guess he's right guard, but. I mean, Zach Martin is going to fall into this category as soon as he retires.
I mean, my right guard, Zach Martin.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, he's pretty untouchable there.
Yeah, I didn't think about not using current players. So Zach Martin's my right guard. That was he could have gone left or right, but Hutchinson is on the left side, so. And with this O-line, I was thinking more pass protection based.
Yeah.
With my second team, it's a little bit different. It's a little more attitude based, you could say.
Yeah.
But at center, in between those guards, I went with Kevin Mawai. I mean, best center from when I was growing up, pretty much. He was just pretty much taking over the All-Pro votes every year. Former Jet. And was just pretty much the standard for the position for a long time at center. It seemed like the only one that I really liked there.
Yeah. So the only other one I had was, and the guard center guard was John Hanna.
Okay.
So I mean, he was buried in those terrible New England teams.
Yeah.
And just consistently great every year.
So at center was tough too. Because like I was thinking, like you go with one of the Pouncey brothers. Marquise Pouncey was a guy who
Yeah.
I considered. And then really outside Olin Kreutz was up there for me. But I mean, I'm a Bears fan, so that's a
Yeah.
little biased. But I do think Olin Kreutz is a borderline Hall of Famer. So I think there's legitimacy there. And then you're talking like Alex Mack is probably the next guy that I'm considering.
Alex
And
Mack's way up there.
yeah. But ultimately Mawai, I think, is the clear out of those guys, the pick. I like first or second ballot Hall of Fame guy. Like, I mean, that was pretty clear.
If you take in career cut short, I mean Travis Frederick goes well on his way up there too.
Yeah, he was on his way. I came across his name and thought about it, but then I tried to stick to more retired guys than not, unless there was a guy who I was just like, yeah, this guy's like absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about all time greats, and you got guys like Bo Jackson and stuff like that. We just don't have the longevity, and I think he's kind of up there too. I mean, if he could have done 2 to 3 more years before he really got sick and had basically forced into retirement, I think he's definitely in that conversation, but just a little bit too short.
Yeah. And then so to finish out the O line at right tackle, so I thought about going with like an Anthony Munoz or a Willie Rowe for a Walter Jones on this, but ultimately I ended up going like, man, I don't know how much of our audience is going to know those guys very well.
Yeah.
But I know they know who Ryan Ramczyk is. Ryan Ramczyk has been the standard at right tackle for like 5 or 6 years straight now.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryan Ramczyk closes out my O-line.
I like it. I mean, they can do it all. It's they can run block, they can pass block. You have Barry Sanders, you got Steve Smith, you got Larry Fitz, you got Randy Moss, Dan Marino throwing the rock. I mean, pretty unstoppable offense.
I think so.
Yeah.
So on the defensive side, can kick it off with edge rusher. But first off, so with this defense, I was thinking a more multiple.
You're gonna be playing with a lead a lot of the times.
Yeah, I want an attacking defense, multiple blitz fronts, or multiple fronts with a lot of blitz packages that we can throw at you.
Yeah.
So to me, that screams 3-4. I need edge rushers who can play hand in the dirt or standing up, who can drop in coverage, who can make play run fits, like who can do it all. Like the edge rushers are the key here.
Yeah.
The edge rushers and having 2 monster defensive linemen who can 2 gap.
Yeah.
Or defensive tackles who can 2 gap. So at edge, I'm going Derrick Thomas. I mean, I think that is, if I'm talking 3-4, Derrick Thomas is about as good as it gets, and he never won a ring. So
yeah.
And then across from him, I got Jason Taylor.
Okay.
A sneaky one.
Yeah. So I would say it's pretty hard not to have JJ Watt out here.
Yes.
Like,
is JJ Watt a stand-up defense edge rusher, or is he a 5-tech?
I'm not going to tell JJ Watt what he can and can't do.
I've got JJ Watt playing 5-tech.
So you got him on
this team.
Okay. That's fine then. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you're just talking edge, but yeah. If you got him,
yeah, he's playing 4-tech, 5-tech as a D tackle, D end. I've never. He gets called an edge rusher. That man played with his hand in the dirt. He was not outside of the tackle that often.
Yeah,
like,
and he can also play. He can also play. He can also play tight end for us in a pinch.
Yeah. So then to close out the D line, I need a nose tackle who can steal gaps, because I'm gonna have JJ Watt, the 4-tech, 5-tech. I'm gonna need a 0-tech who can really eat space. I'm going with Kevin Williams, the Williams wall.
Yeah.
Because he's about as good of a space eater as I can think of in my time watching the NFL, who didn't win a ring.
Yeah, huge guy. John Randall, No, John Randall was edge. Who else did I have? I had another interior
Randall
guy.
was D tackle, but he's like a 3-tech.
Yeah,
So that's
more outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It was hard to find nose tackles.
Well, Ndamukong Suh might be up there.
Did he won a ring in Tampa?
In Tampa, he was there for that. Okay,
I thought about him. I mean, Vince Wilfork obviously won multiple.
Geno Atkins.
Atkins again. He's more of a 3-tech, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of big bodies that played inside, but yeah, I mean,
there were some guys for the Ravens, but they won rings who I looked at. Then there was Ted Washington won rings. Keith Traylor won rings.
Derrick Brown is kind of sneaking his way in there, but I mean, I'd still probably take Williams.
So if I'm taking anyone in the league currently, and he's actually on my other team, it's Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah. Is he still with the Giants? Did they get rid of him?
Oh, yeah. He might be the most underrated defender in the NFL.
Oh, well, they need to trade him.
All right, so moving on to linebackers. So in a multiple front, I need linebackers who can play downhill, their hair on fire. And Patrick Willis did that for Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco. Yeah. I'm getting him to do it again. Patrick Willis is my first softball linebacker.
So, okay, you gonna have two inside, or you gonna have? So, like for me, Patrick Willis, same thought, but for me, it's Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, I want Kuechly in the other front.
Okay,
I don't want him in my 3-4. I want him in my 4-3.
Okay. That's what I was asking.
Yeah. So next to Willis, I'm going with Zach Thomas, former Texas Tech legend Zach Thomas.
Hey, Hall of Famer.
No one can play downhill quite like him. He's not going to play the best coverage, but you know what? I don't care. He's going to plow through some offensive linemen, and he's going to be good enough in coverage. And the rest of my cover guys will cover for him. I also thought about Fred Warner. I might still do Fred Warner. Yeah. But I decided to go with the nod to the Red Raider and Zach Thomas.
Get your guns up. You got to have some representation in there.
Yeah.
Got to have some Red Raider representation.
Then at corner, the obvious one, Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey is the 1-1.
Whatever system you're running, you throw him in. Pete next to him, Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, those were my two for corner. And it really wasn't close whenever you start getting into corners. I mean, you could look at some of the young guys currently in the league, but then like every time I thought of somebody, I was like, oh, Darrelle Revis. And I'm like, oh, he caught one. I was like Stephon Gilmore, and I'm like, oh, he caught one. Like, and then I was like, then you think Ramsey, and it's like, well, he got one at the Rams. And then like every time I thought of a guy, but I was like, oh, he was on a lot of bad teams. And it's like, oh, no, he got one. Like,
it got tough.
Yeah.
And then in the nickel, I got Chris Harris Jr., who is one of the best nickels in the league for a long time. So, like, he's probably not going to be a Hall of Famer. He doesn't get the same recognition as the outside guys, but I need him to play nickel, and he's going to play nickel better than anyone. At safety, I was doing the Eric Berry all the way here.
Yeah.
And then Brian Dawkins.
B-Doc, yeah. For me, I mean, shorter career, maybe one of the greatest athletes to ever play the game, though, Sean Taylor.
Yeah, I love Sean Taylor. Like, his highlights are a lot of fun, but his career was so short.
Yeah, I know.
Not there's anything, you can do about that, but it's like I have a hard time assessing that and the value.
If we're building a team, got to have them for a year. I love Brian Dawkins, but I'll take Sean Taylor just about over anybody.
Okay,
just dog.
Okay, all right. So for the second team.
Oh, and then kick returner, punt returner. That's pretty obvious.
Oh, Devin Hester.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame goat.
Yeah.
I mean, he wore the same.
Don't even-
He wore the same number as Michael Jordan. It's a done deal.
in Chicago. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So,
Yeah. Second team, putting Josh Allen at quarterback. Man, this is Team Chaos.
Team Chaos. Okay, so
Yeah.
this like on my second team. This was where I was thinking of like a Mike Vick, a running quarterback like a Josh Allen. So
I
he
was
fits
initially
the
thinking
mold.
like going full running QB like Mike Vick, and then I was like, man, I just want the craziest shit I can think of on this team.
Yeah.
I want Josh Allen because he is about as crazy. It's him and Brett Favre in their own tier of just like batshit crazy.
Yeah, and he's got the legs with it.
Yeah. So at running back, I decided with Josh Allen, I want downhill angry runs with Derrick Henry.
Over AP?
Yep, I want that. I want Derrick Henry's fucking stiff arm tractor Cedo over everybody. I'm taking Derrick Henry.
But not great in short yardage.
That's fine. I got Josh Allen for that.
Yeah.
Then,
I can't disagree. I mean, I might take AP there, but it's hard to disagree.
First wide receiver spot, I need the go up and get it guy with Josh
Calvin
Allen.
Johnson.
Calvin Johnson.
This is Megatron for sure. Yeah.
Second wide receiver spot, I want dirty, nasty speed. And this one's a huge wild card.
Oh, I know.
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, this team's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then third, I had Larry Fitzgerald here because I had Anquan Bolden on the other team. I swapped out Fitzgerald to the other team. So in this spot, fuck it. I'm going Terrell Owens.
Okay. Yeah. You could go Terrell Owens. I think Des Bryant deserves a mention in there. Maybe a Chad Ochocinco. But yeah, I mean, T.O. is a.
I want another
great.
go. I wanted a guy who could go up and get it.
Yeah, that's why I said Des Bryant.
Just dominant physical presence. So maybe Des, but I think T.O. proved it with multiple teams over and over. When everyone thought he was done, he kept doing it. So to me, he gets the nod.
Yeah.
And then a tight end, Tony Gonzalez, because the tight end options were slim, and you can't. Even though I said I never felt the same way watching him as I did it, Antonio Gates, his numbers are undeniable.
Oh yeah, I mean he was everything before everything was everything. Throwing Mike Ditka in there, throwing a Jason Witten, just some shout outs to some great tight ends. So we running a fullback with this team? Kellen Winslow
Senior.
Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp. Well, he won rings.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to keep it post merger, so Ditka wasn't qualifying.
Oh, okay. So we're not running fullback with this team.
No, I didn't even think about that, to be honest. But
we'll throw Kyle Juszczyk in there.
Yeah. Or no, we're going Mike Allstott. We're going fullback.
No, he won a ring.
Damn, you're right. All right, Juszczyk it is.
Carries the team on his back. You could also put Lorenzo Neal. No, Lorenzo Neal running ring. Yeah, it's Juszczyk.
All right, screw post merger. We're going with the Galloping Ghost, Red Grange at fullback.
I mean, I think technically by the letter of the law, wasn't Barry Sanders a fullback?
Was he?
I think so. But
get some T formation out here. It'll be wild. All right, left tackle. So this team so far is just big, throw your face in the dirt, angry to me. So
Mekhi Becton's rookie year.
I need that trend on my O line. Yeah. I'm going
just Williams. His rookie year. Yeah.
Trent Williams at left tackle.
Yeah, no, Trent Williams. I mean, he's Trent Williams, Tyron Smith. I think either one of them kind of fall in here.
Tyron Smith's my right tackle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then at left guard, I'm going Quentin Nelson.
Yep.
Just eating glass for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right guard, I'm going, and this is my homerism. My Chicago Bears are showing, but Kyle Long.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
a lot of
want
rings
that
in
anger,
the family.
that attitude, and he brings it.
Got rings in the family. He just don't get one himself.
Yeah, and then Olin Kreutz at center because again, the attitude gets it for me, and my Bears are showing.
Yeah, but that's okay. Sometimes you gotta let your Bears out.
Yeah, who let the Bears out?
You gotta bear it all for them.
Yeah, exactly. Then so on defense, this one I'm going with I'm giving Lovie Smith his due here. I'm going with a 4-3 Tampa 2 style coverage.
You're gonna have Lance Briggs in here, aren't you?
No. I've only got 2 more Bears on this list.
Okay.
Julius Peppers is my edge rusher.
Okay.
You don't find many 4-3 edge rushers built better for it than him. He's pretty much perfect for what you want. Bruce Smith across from him.
Okay.
Then John Randall at 3 tech.
Yep.
And Dexter Lawrence at nose tackle.
Okay.
And the important thing in the Tampa 2 with the D tackles is both D tackles need to be able to play both spots to some degree. Like they can't be complete liabilities if they have to, like the offense in motion, shift the strength. The D line needs to shift their alignments. And I think Dexter Lawrence is quick enough to be successful enough in the 3 tech. And I know John Randall can handle it.
Absolutely.
And then at linebacker, I got, of course, Brian Urlacher. You don't really build a better Mike for this defense than Brian Urlacher.
Hard to leave him off the list.
And then Luke Kuechly next to him.
Yeah. I mean, Luke Kuechly, in my opinion, might be the greatest linebacker of all time. Just incredible.
Well, the jersey hanging behind me might argue with that, but
I mean, Luke Kuechly
for Dick.
The way Luke Kuechly played and to retire at 29, just stupid.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and you don't even think about him being like, you don't even really think about him retiring early. Like that's how special he was.
Yeah, you're right. I really don't think about it. Like it doesn't cross my mind when I think of Patrick Willis. It does, but like not Kuechly.
Yeah.
I feel like and maybe he was around for longer. I'm not sure. But
he was just so good for so long, and then they had that run with Carolina against Denver where he was just so huge. Yeah, I mean, linebacker I feel like is the most saturated position for guys that didn't win.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably up there. That or running back.
Yeah. Wide receiver.
Yeah, receiver's pretty stacked.
But.
Then corner, this got really tough because I didn't want to repeat guys. So
I thought you would have Peanut Tillman here.
So I lied.
For the dog aspect.
Julius Peppers is a Panther.
Oh, okay. You got Julius Peppers as a Panther. Okay.
So cornerback 1, I'm going with Aeneas Williams.
Yeah, so I had him on my list
for years. Yeah. Tons of interceptions. I really don't know that much about the player. I just know that his stats are outrageous and he played forever.
Yeah.
It was a little before my time. And then Peanut Tillman at cornerback 2 because
those are my 2. And then I also had Terrence Williams in there or Terrence Newman in there just for longevity and just always being consistently good, had the top end speed that you want for a corner, can keep up with anybody, can really guard anybody, was never the elite of the elite, but I mean, he could play the nickel, he could play anywhere on the field, and the longevity and the mobility and the versatility, I was like, you got to find a spot for him here.
See, I might have done Terrence Williams if I knew he could play the nickel. I wasn't sure if he could. And nickel is a weird spot. It's like there are some shut down outside corners who can't play.
So his last couple of years,
left and right,
his last couple of years in Minnesota, he played a little nickel, not a whole lot, but I mean he held his own. I mean I think he was 34 at the time. He played 16 years.
Yeah.
So
at nickel, I went Casey Hayward Jr. Real similar to Chris Harris Jr., just one of the best nickels in the league for a lot of his career, and I know he's going to do it and do it well. Then at safety, I lied. I do have another Bear. Mike Brown.
Okay.
Hey man, if I build a Tampa 2 defense, you know it's going to be littered with Lovie Smith players. They spent like 70% of their cap on that defense.
Yeah. I like Roy Williams here just to like knock somebody's head off. Like, I mean, depending on the era we're playing in, just give me somebody who's going to kill somebody out
in
there.
The Tampa 2, I want ball hawks. Ball hawks.
He was not a ball hawk, but
yeah. So
I mean, he was a headhunter.
Mike Brown was as good of a ball hawk as the NFL sees.
Yeah.
His career was cut way short by injuries, but he was right there with like the first few years of his career were right there with Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu with his interceptions, his pick sixes, his score. He had that thing that you had, that playmaking ability.
Yeah, then, what you're looking for.
Yeah. And then next to him, I'm going Minkah Fitzpatrick. Just another ball hawk, finds a way to get the football in his hands. So between Aeneas Williams, Mike Brown, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, I'm going to have all the interceptions. Peanut's going to get me 10 fumbles a year. It's just littered with turnovers all over this defense.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And then return man, Josh Cribbs.
Yeah. Josh
Cribbs goes on the other team. Get Hester back with the boys.
Yeah, but Hester with all the Bears. Yeah, that works. So, I like it though.
Yeah, no, that's what made this more fun to me, was like thinking through the scheme and like how I'm going to build this thing to specifically fit what you want to do.
Yeah, how you want to build it. I mean, I don't know which team wins if we do both of these. Like, yeah, we had our one team and then we had our second team, but yeah, it's hard to say there's a winner and a loser here.
I think Team 2's D-line beats Team 1's O-line more than Team 1's D-line beats Team 2's O-line.
Yeah, I mean, D-line, when you talk about some of the all-time greats, I mean, they're going to win more times than not against.
Well, I just think that Team 2's O-line, they're going to be playing more downhill style football, which is going to favor them there. Team 1 will score more of a hurry, I think. Like they'll be more consistently scoring, though. Yeah. But I'm playing a Tampa 2 defense against Dan Marino. Dan Marino is all about getting the ball quick against the blitz. I don't blitz.
Yeah,
like the Tampa 2 blitzing.
Yeah,
I just
you're gonna sit back.
Peanut's gonna force a fumble at the end of a game. Mike Brown will scoop it up for 6. Boom.
That team two's deadly. Lethal.
I think they'd have the just right mix.
But then you have to worry about like a Josh Allen interception.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or I mean, there's things that could go wrong, obviously, but yeah. I think all in all, it would be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Team 1 versus Team 2.
Yeah. All right. So we getting into some Bears talk now?
Yeah, let's Bears just draft in general. Like, so you've traded the number 1 overall pick. Caleb Williams is headed to Washington. So what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously you're not taking him. Like, I don't know if you heard, but they hired Cliff Kingsbury.
I did hear that. I might go drink some bleach real quick, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's actually anything there, but yeah, congrats to Washington. They got him. They got their guy.
Yeah. Caleb Williams posed in a dress, and the last person to do that was Ricky Williams. And then a team traded their entire draft for him. So hypothetically, if Washington gives you like 3 years worth of picks, I guess you do it, and you just take Drake May too.
Honestly, like I love Caleb. I want him to be a Bear, but if they offer 3 drafts worth of picks,
you take. I mean, I think Kansas City would have a hard time saysaying no to that. I'm not saying
real chance you have the number 1 pick each of the next 3 years if they do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as crazy as it sounds, it's like, does Kansas City even say no to that?
Like, Caleb, if Caleb is successful through that, like he might be better than Pat Mahomes because you have nothing.
People are saying. I mean, I'll have Terry McLaurin for a year or two more.
Yeah.
Just him and Scary Terry getting it done.
Yeah.
But okay, realistically, looking at this top 10 littered with receivers, obviously some quarterbacks are going. So where do you think? Obviously, it's Drake May and Caleb Williams almost assuredly 1 and 2.
I think so.
And then, so do you think we're going to see any more quarterbacks in this top 10? They're talking about.
I think Jaden Daniels is going to go top 10. I think JJ might sneak in there.
Okay, so what about Penix? Because he's the other name I've been hearing.
I don't see Penix getting that high.
I don't either. But I don't see JJ getting that high either. But
see,
I think
here's the thing with Penix on tape, you can see some clear flaws and red flags. With JJ, there's a mystery box.
Yeah. It
like
be anything.
You know the raw talent
Penix
is there. Yeah. Like you have seen his arm talent. You have seen that he has the athletic ability. And like it's just a matter of like if I'm the Vikings and I'm saying I'm gonna get Kirk Cousins back for another year, maybe 2 years, I'm gonna go get JJ McCarthy and sit him behind him because I have the coach who's going to run my offense, who I trust right now, who's really done well with this offense, who's going to coach JJ to be his quarterback, and he's going to get the time behind Kirk to not be rushed with it. I think that is a really strong plan for them, actually.
Yeah. So to me, I mean, this draft starts, I mean, not just for me, for most people, draft starts at 3 with New England. You think they take somebody here, or do you think this is a trade, or do they just take?
I think if someone's willing to move up for it, I think they trade, like pay enough to make it worth their while. But if not, I think I
think it's Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I can't see him going quarterback. Like I just can't see Jaden Daniels being worth it to them to say we're going to put this kid in the worst situation possible to succeed because we have nothing on our offense right now. And just say, good luck, kid. Go for it. Like, I just, if he was a more enticing prospect, I think you'd have to. But I don't think he's that enticing of a prospect. He's just like enticing enough to be in that top 10 conversation, which changes the outlook there of saying it's probably not worth just taking the kid and throwing him in the fire there. It's probably worth taking your time to build it right.
So when we talk about a Marvin Harrison Jr. in that pick, do you think that's doing an injustice to one of the greatest talents we've seen come out in quite some time? It's like, what is he going to do in New England?
What did Calvin Johnson do in Detroit? What did Larry Fitzgerald do in Arizona? I mean, they didn't have quarterbacks when they went there.
Yeah, but I mean, I also get sad when I think about those guys.
Well, tough.
I don't want to be sad. But
what other quarterbacks or what other wide receivers have gone that high? I mean, Julio? Was Julio 3?
I know one that went pretty high. Went to the Windy City. That was 6, wasn't it?
Yeah. You're talking Kevin White. Yeah, no, that wasn't top 5. In the top 5,
Julio was
3 or 4, I think.
Patrick Mahomes draft, was it John Ross that went 5?
Yeah, but that was. Yeah, but I can't put.
Or did somebody go before him?
I think John Ross went there, but.
Well, yeah, he was just a bust. But I was just trying to think of.
Amari Cooper was 4, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's been great. He's on his 3rd team and just continuing to ball out regardless of situation.
I mean, they took Derek Carr that same draft, I think.
No, so he was already there. I want to say Derek Carr is older than. I don't know. Amari Cooper's so hard to get right because he got drafted like what 19 or something.
Yeah, he was young.
He's so young. He's not even 30 yet. It feels
What
like
was
he's been in
that,
the league for 20
2015?
years.
Is that 2015? Yeah, that was 2015. Okay, no, Carr must have been the year before.
Yeah. But
yeah, Carr was in 2014. So
okay.
yeah, but so even then though, you didn't really know what you had in Carr yet.
Yeah. So moving on from the New England pick, if they move it, somebody's probably taking quarterback there. I would assume.
I imagine
If somebody, unless somebody in like the 12 to 13 range like falls in love with Marvin Harrison Jr.
I don't know who's
just
moving
like,
up for Jaden Daniels though. Like
yeah,
to 3, that's a lofty price.
But so what if somebody's trying to jump? What if people think Harbaugh is going to take McCarthy and somebody moves up to 3 for McCarthy?
See, I just don't see that happening. Like I just don't think
Mitch
that anyone is going to fall in love with McCarthy.
Mitch Trubisky went from being like a top 15 pick to a top 3 pick it seemed in record time. It seemed like he was almost guaranteed to like be a high pick. And then it was like, oh, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. And then it was like guys move up very quickly in these situations.
Mitch was always a top 10 pick. There's been some revisionist history
top
on that.
10?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying this time in the draft process, he was maybe, I would probably slightly better than McCarthy or a Daniels.
I think
he shot up the board.
Example there is Anthony Richardson last year.
Or Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but like Daniel Jones went where he did because of his Senior Bowl performance. He had an awesome week at the Senior Bowl. And Anthony Richardson, like I said to you after watching his tape last year, like I can see why someone would really covet this guy.
Yeah.
He's going to play in a system and do exactly what you want him to do. It's just like no questions asked. He's going to go out there and do what you tell him to do. It's just sometimes that's not good.
Yeah. So moving on from New England, whether they trade or not, let's assume Marvin Harrison's off the board there. One way or the other, whether they trade, somebody trades up for him. Marvin Harrison's off the board. We get to the Chargers. What? Chargers aren't 4?
Chargers are 5.
Oh, okay. So Cardinals, they go wide receiver here?
I think so.
As a Bears fan, you want to say no?
No, I think they do. The other option's O-line, but they took their franchise tackle last year. So, I mean, unless they really want to take another. Which they could, but
so,
I think wide receivers are waiting.
Who are we looking at? Who are we looking at for like bona fide like top 7, 10 picks? Like, so we know the 2 quarterbacks. We know Marvin Harrison. We know is it Jalen Naylor? Is he up there for LSU? Odunze,
Neighbors.
Is it Jalen Neighbors?
No, it's Malik Neighbors.
Oh, Malik. Okay.
That just threw me off so much, though.
Sorry.
I was like, I know it's not. I talk about him all the time. I can't remember what his name is now, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so just how do you see this draft shaking up, going up to the Bears pick is what I'm trying to get to. I'm not trying to drag it out by any means, but it's like, how do you see this draft shaking out? Coming up to the Bears, what are y'all picking? 9?
Yeah, 9.
Okay.
So let me pull up a mock draft.
What do you think some options are here? Because like heard Odunze, heard Neighbors. I've heard. I mean, it seems like if one of the receivers makes it to y'all, that seems to be what the fan base prefers.
I think Neighbors is gone at 4. It's going to be really interesting. This week is going to tell us a lot about Rome Odunze. I think Rome Odunze is probably going to nail every interview. this week and absolutely crush it. There's so much good stuff out there about his personality, about who he is as a person. I think he has a shot to become wide receiver 2 through that.
Yeah. So what about the other LSU wide receiver?
Oh, Brian Thomas. He's not going to like 15, 20.
Oh, okay.
I don't think unless he starts rising up boards, but everything that I've heard about him, he's more raw than that.
Is there any risers that we haven't heard about that could make wide receiver wise that could make their way into this top 10?
I don't think so. I mean, Troy Franklin's probably the only guy I really feel like might have a chance, and that's just because he's such a lethal deep threat. But like usually in the top 10, you see guys like if Troy Franklin goes out there this week and runs a 4.25, he might. Then he might go top 10. But
wide receiver is weird because remember the DK Metcalf year. Everybody was like almost like, oh, don't fall in love with what you see. Don't fall in love with all this. It's like he's not very good. And then he just goes on to be fucking phenomenal.
Well, what really killed him was his agility testing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like you don't fall in love with the physical attributes. Like, so he's not built to be a receiver. And then he's been fantastic.
When you are talking about 6'1" to 6'3" tanks who play wide receiver, it's just different.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to be careful with falling in love with a 170-pound receiver who tests out of this world. But when you're talking about a 230-pound 6'2" monster, the math is just different.
See, in my opinion, I thought DK was worth the risk outside of the top 10. And then to me, he fell way too far.
Yeah.
But if I remember that draft correctly, it was like if he falls out of the top 10, he's almost falling into the second round just based off needs unless somebody trades up for him. So it was kind of understandable.
He fell all the way to like 60, though.
I thought he was early second round. Was it third?
Late second.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I just didn't remember how far he actually fell
in the last like decade.
Yeah,
but so like in that example, like Keon Coleman is a guy who might be interesting in that same light. Where like I think there's some wide receivers like him or like DK or like AJ Brown who also went in like the 50s.
Yeah, AJ Brown fallen
really misvalued the last like 5 years because their testing numbers are different. It's different math. It's not the same formula to look at these guys as it is for the smaller guys because they play the game differently. They play a much more physically imposing game where running a 4.4 at their size is going to be much different than a smaller guy.
Exactly. No, I agree. So looking at the Bears at 9, assuming we don't have a receiver to take there. Is it a trade bet for picks? Is it best player available because you already have the picks you need and you need to build on the roster you have? Taking a Caleb Williams at 1, assuming you're getting more draft capital for Justin Fields.
So a huge factor here, Bears don't have a second-round pick right now.
Yeah.
They traded for Montez Sweat. If they get a second-rounder for Fields, that changes stuff here. But
I think
if they don't,
I think they do.
I keep hearing varying things. Some like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport are doing Ryan Poles a lot of favors right now, going out in the media and talking about a first-round pick. I don't think that's happening.
See, I think if you're a quarterback needy team and you're not even kicking the tires on Justin Fields right now, you're a failure as a GM.
Right.
Because like, say what you want about Justin Fields. The kid can play. He can play better than any second round pick that you could find. Yeah, maybe you have to pay him, but it's like, what would you have to pay him if you gave up a second round pick? Like, you could go to his agent and be like,
yeah. No, that's why I think
you could still get good value.
That's why I think the second is probably the ceiling. Like anything more than a second, you start to say, is this worth it? Like is this, we're talking a year, 2 years of control, maybe 1 year of control if we don't want the 5th year option. Like it starts to get iffy there.
Yeah, but if I'm a quarterback needy team and I'm not even, if you're not willing to give up a 2nd round pick for Justin Fields and you're not trading up for a quarterback immediately, it just seems to me it's like, then what are you doing?
Yeah, I can see that. I tend to play more conservative with my expectations, I guess.
Yeah.
So right now I'm hoping for a 2nd, probably expecting like 2/3 or something like that.
What if it's a 3rd this year and a 2nd next year?
Maybe. I mean, if that's the best deal you got, it's the best deal you got, you know?
Yeah, I'm just because you basically lose a round for every future year, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by 2/3. I mean,
kind of how
this year,
it
3rd
works.
next year.
Yeah.
But so if they're not getting that full 2nd round pick back for Fields, then that's where you're saying, okay, we really would like, all the receivers are gone. We know there's going to be edge rushers on the board here for these next few picks. If we can move back a few picks and pick up a 2nd round pick, that's great. That's awesome, because I think they'll be comfortable with Dallas Turner. They'll be comfortable with Jared Verse, and they will be less comfortable, but as long as the medicals check out, still good with Laiatu Latu. So there's 3 edge rushers that you feel good about there as well. So you can move back to anywhere from 10 to 12 with that and feel like you're in a good spot. Or another route is you move back to somewhere between 15 and 20. You take Jackson Powers Johnson, just a glass eating center out of Oregon. That fills a major need for
fills a need. Okay. Well, that kind of wraps up our top 10. I'm so excited for this draft. I'm so excited. Like, these wide receivers are going to be so much fun. I feel like this is going to be one of the most interesting wide receiver drafts we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And then you got some good tackles in there. And then the quarterbacks are highly intriguing as well. So
Joe Alt rules. Alt rules.
But yeah, it's gonna be a good time. But
if the Bears drafted Joe Alt, their starting offensive tackles would be Alt right.
Love that. Love that.
I don't love it, but I think it's hilarious.
No, it'd be incredible. It would, yeah. I mean, you just got to think about the content, buddy.
Yeah.
But I think that's gonna be it for this week. Next week we're probably gonna be getting into some more draft talk, maybe some more fun team building exercises and everything like that. And do we have our eyes on a team right now for next year yet, or do you want to talk about that more next week?
I think it's. I mean, we can start discussing some next week. I think it's still a little early. Like, we gotta see how free agency and the draft plays out, because they're gonna play out big in all this.
Yeah, and we'll have some free agency talk and everything next week. So I think that'll be it for us this week. But we will see y'all next week. It's draft season. We're going to be putting out a ton of content, so check it out. Check out the website, shaving-points.com, and we will see y'all soon.
Adios.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.